Good day everyone! Welcome to my learning channel, Sir Fox Learning Channel. Today, we will learn Mathematics 8 with Teacher Arlene. At kung bago ka sa channel na ito, huwag mong kalimutang mag-subscribe at i-hit ang notification bell on para updated ka sa mga susunod ko pong videos. Happy learning everyone!
Factoring sum and difference of two cubes. So let's deal first with the sum of two cubes, a cube plus b cube. The factors of sum of two cubes are a binomial and a trinomial. The first factor are the sum of the cube root of a cube and b cube. The second factor will be based on the first factor. The first term of the second factor is the square of a, which is the first term of the first factor. The second term of the second factor will be the product of a and b with the opposite sign. And the last term will be the square of b, which is the last term of the first factor. So let's take this example. Factor x cubed plus 8. Again, the factors will be a binomial and a trinomial. Now, to get the first factor, all we have to do is to get the cube root of the first term, x cubed. The cube root of x cubed is x. And the cube root of 8 will be 2, positive 2. After getting the first factor, we can easily get the second factor because the second factor again will be based on the first factor. So let us get the second factor. The first term of the second factor will be the square of x. That is x squared. And the second term will be the product of these two terms with the opposite sign. So x times 2 will give us 2x. Get the opposite of that sign. That will be negative 2x. And the last term will be the square of 2, which is the second term of the first factor. 2 square will give us 4. So x cubed plus 8 in factored form is the quantity x plus 2 times the quantity x squared minus 2x plus 4. Let's go to example number 2. Okay? So factor 8x cubed plus y cubed. Again, the factors will be a binomial and a trinomial. Now, the first factor will be the cube root of these two terms. The sum of the cube root of 8x cubed and the y cubed. Okay? So, the cube root of 8x cubed will give us, or will be 2x. Well, the cube root of y cubed is y. Again, after getting the first factor, the second factor will be based here. Okay, to get the first term of the second factor, let us square the first term. So 2x squared, or that means 2x times 2x. Multiply this to itself. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Now, the second term will be the product of these two terms. 2x times y is 2xy. So we will get the opposite sign of that. We have negative 2xy. And finally, the last term will be the square of y. That is y squared. So the factors of 8x cubed plus y cubed are the binomial 2x plus y and the trinomial 4x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. Okay, this time, let us go to difference of two cubes. Okay. So again, the factors of difference of two cubes will be a binomial and a trinomial. The first factor will be the cube root of, or the difference of the cube root of a cube and b cube. The second factor again will be based on the first factor. So as you can see, the cube root of a cube is a, and the cube root of negative b cube is negative b. That will be the first factor. The second factor, we will just square the first term of the first factor, a times a squared. The second factor, we will multiply these two. A times negative b is negative ab. Now we will get the opposite of the sign. That's why we have positive ab. And the last term will be negative b squared, which is positive b squared. Negative b times negative b will give us positive b squared. So let's take this example. Factor x cubed minus 8. So to get the first factor, all we have to do is to get the cube root of each term. Okay? Cube root of x cubed will be x. Cube root of negative 2, we have, cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. So that's the first factor, x minus 2. To get the other factor, we will just square x squared. And then after that, we will get the product of these two. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. We will get the opposite of the sign. It will become positive 2x. And then the last term will be the square of this. Negative 2 square, or negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Okay, next example will be 8x cubed minus y cubed. Okay, let us factor this. So again, we will get the cube root of 8x cubed and negative y cubed. The cube root of 8x cubed is 2x. And the cube root of negative y cubed is negative y. So after getting this, we can easily get the second factor. The first term of the second factor will be the square of 2x. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. The second factor will be the product with the opposite sign. 2x times negative y is negative 2xy. The opposite of that will be positive 2xy. And of course, the last will be the square of negative y. Negative y squared, or negative y times negative y, is positive y squared. So that's how we factor sum and difference of two cubes. Factoring perfect square trinomial. So the factor of a perfect square trinomial is a square of binomial. Remember that a number is said to be perfect square if you can write it as a square of a certain number. So examples of a perfect square numbers are 4, 9, 16, and 25. 4 is a perfect square because you can write it as 2 square. So 9 can be written as 3 square. 16 can be written as 4 square. 25 can be written as 5 square. So since these numbers can be written as square of a certain number, then they are said to be a perfect square. So as to trinomial. If a trinomial can be written as a square of binomial, then it is said to be a perfect square trinomial. So let's take this example. Factor x squared minus 8x plus 16. So to factor this, we will just express this as a square of binomial. And to do that, we will just get the square root of the first term, square root of x squared, that is x. So that will be the first term of the binomial. Next, get the square root of the constant term 16. So what is the square root of 16? We have 4. Now the sign will be the same with the sign of the middle term. So since the sign of the middle term is negative, that will be the sign also of the binomial. So copy the sign of the middle term and don't forget to square it. the factors of x squared minus 8x plus 16 is the quantity x minus 4 squared. So, next, let us factor x squared plus 8x plus 16. Again, we will just get the square root of the first term, x squared. So, the square root of x squared is x. Next, get the square root of the constant term or the last term. Square root of 16, 4. And we will copy the sign of the middle term. Then square it. So, the factor will be the quantity x plus 4 squared. So next, let us factor x squared minus 22x plus 121. The factor of x squared, or the square root of x squared, is x. And the square root of 121 here is 11. So we will copy the sign of the middle term, which is negative. And of course, don't forget to square it. Lastly, let us factor x squared plus 22x plus 121. Then the first factor will be the square root of x squared. And the second term of the binomial, get the square root of the constant term 121. Square root of 121 is 11. Copy the sign of the middle term. It's positive. Then square it. So that's how we factor a perfect square trinomial. So easy, right? Factoring general quadratic trinomial. Okay, the factor of a general quadratic trinomial are two binomials. So let's take this example. Factor the quadratic trinomial x squared plus 12x plus 20. So to factor this quadratic trinomial, we need to look for the factors of the constant term 20, whose sum is equal to the numerical coefficient of the middle term 12. So let's do that. We have the factors of 20, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5, negative 1 times negative 20, negative 2 times negative 10, and negative 4 times negative 5. So these are the factors. Now, among these factors, we're looking for the one whose sum will give us positive 12. So as you can see, if we're going to get the sum of the factors of 20, 1 plus 20, we have 21, 2 plus 10 is 12, 4 plus 5 is 9, negative 1 plus negative 20 is negative 21. Negative 2 plus negative 10 is negative 12. Negative 4 plus negative 5 is negative 9. So we're looking for factors of 20 whose sum is equal to the numerical coefficient of the middle term, which is 12. Therefore, we're looking for this, positive 2 and positive 10. So that will be the factors of this general quadratic trinomial. We have positive 2 and positive 10. Now, the first term of each factor will be x. Okay, so let's go to the next example. Factor the quadratic trinomial x squared minus 9x plus 20. So again, the first factor of the first term of each binomial or of each factor will be x. And then, we need to look for the factors of positive 20, whose sum is equal to the coefficient of the middle term, negative 9. So, what are those numbers? Numbers wherein if we will multiply positive 20, and if we're going to add, will give us negative 9. So, we have negative 4 and negative 5. So, we have here negative 4 and negative 5. Okay, next. Factor x squared plus 21x plus 20. Again, we're looking for the factors of 20 or numbers wherein we will multiply 20. And if we're going to add, will give us 21. So we have 1 times 20, right? We have here x plus 1 and x plus 20. And then last one, we have x squared minus 21x plus 20. So, find two numbers whose product is 20 and whose sum is negative 21. So, we have here negative 1 and negative 20. So, we have the factors of this quadratic trinomial x minus 1 and x minus 20. So, to check, all you have to do is to multiply the two constant term and add. Okay? If you're going to multiply the two constant term, the product must be the constant term of the given trinomial. And when you add, it must be equal to the middle term. The coefficient of the middle term, I mean. So, like this. 2 times 10, 20. 2 plus 10, 12. So, do that also in the other example. Negative 4 times negative 5, we have positive 20. Negative 4 plus negative 5, we have negative 9. So, see? So, here, multiply 1 and 20. 1 times 20 will give us 20. And if we're going to add 1 plus 20, that is the coefficient of the middle term, 21. So, same with the last example, negative 1 times negative 20 is positive 20. And if we're going to add negative 1 plus negative 20, we have negative 21. Okay, that's how we factor general quadratic trinomial.